In this video, we would be discussing about declare on change. So when do we use declare on change? That we'll be seeing. So first look at the requirement. So the requirement over here is whenever there is a change in the status work, we want to send a notification to the manager saying that there was a change in the status of a particular case. So how are we going to do that? So I have already created declare on change and done that, but let's see the example. So save and run. Once create the case over here, and if you look into this, now the case status is new, right? So now the case status is new, and now one email would be sending to the manager saying that there was a change in a case ID. So if you go and look into the case, see if you see here, so this is what the status here. The status of case ID is changed to new. Of course, there is a no case ID shown over here. Let me do that also, debug it why it is not coming up. So yeah, so this is first new, right? So then there was an example for declare constraint previously, so I'm just giving the age over here, submit. So still it is new here, so there would be no any other email going to the manager because there is no change in the status work. Submit. And still over here also there is no change in the status. Yeah, submit. So now when I am doing submit over here, there was a status change in this particular stage and as well as this step. So there are two things coming up. So one is pending fulfillment, another one is pending nominee details. There would be two mails going to the manager now. So if I go back here, you can see new message has coming up. Two messages have come. So you can see those two messages here. So one message you can see here, case ID 13001 is changed to pending nominee, and the same case ID 1I3001 is changed to pending fulfillment. So this is how you know the mails would be going to the manager. So but how this is all happening whenever there is a change, how these mails are going on. Okay, so basically we will see, right, when a product has been purchased through an e-commerce application, we want to see the status, right, by getting that as an email to us or by a phone number. So the same thing over here. For that, what we have to do is we need to create one declare on change. So the declare on change will track the property value changes. What are the properties you want to watch? Those values, if there is any change in those values, you can do certain operations. One is either you can call an activity or you can suspend that particular work object. So let's see the declare on change rule. So how do you create a declare on change rule? So go to the app explorer. Where do you want to create? Go to that particular class, create. It will be available in decision, and then you can see declare on change over here. Okay, so I have already created declare on change. You can see this watch case status here. So I want to watch the status of a particular case. Whenever there is a change in that, I want to call an activity. So this is how it looks. So you have on change properties tab. In this you have three sections. One section talking about what property to be watched. Another section is when do you want to call this do certain operation based on a condition. So that would be when rule. So you can call that when rule over here. So when, and choose action. Action can be two types. You can call activity or you can suspend the work object. In our example, I was calling an activity, and this activity will run always whenever it is true. So you can write a when rule over here, making it as always. That means always you have to execute this call activity. And if when I'm saying always, it is always true, right? So it will be running this particular activity. If it is false, then it will go and run this particular activity. When false, run another activity. Okay, based on the condition of when, either the true activity or false activity would be running up. So what did I write in the activity? So this is one activity to send the notification. Most of the places here I hard coded it, directly sending a simple email here. I hard coded all the things. So you can see here Pega byte, it was sending to a manager over here one email. Subject I said status change, and used correspondence rule, that is status notification, and you can see that correspondence rule mentioning over here as the status of case ID is this one. So whenever you simply write case ID, it will throw a warning over here saying that you cannot use a case ID as a scalar one. Then what you can do is you have to use format as px display text, so that that warning would be going off. Okay, so you can see that when I remove it, save, can you see there was a warning coming up? So if you see this warning, scalar or usage, it's a rule name scalar, it's a scalar property, so rule name, so you cannot use it. So for that, what we can do is use px display text, the format, save. This is how the whole declare on change is running up. So declare on change has another option, choose action as suspend work object. When do we use this suspend work object is whenever there is a a fraudulent happening in your case. Okay, so at that particular time you want to suspend all the work items, whatever the work you have done to that particular case, you want to suspend everything. Okay, so for that purpose you can use this declare on change suspend work object. For that you can create your own flow rule, so to where it has to move, and you can write that particular flow over here and also show the error message on that particular flow. Okay, so that would be showing on your screen. Okay, so basically whenever, for example, you are adding certain products, and the total amount of products is going in negative, so whenever it will go for negative, right? So whenever it is going negative, yes, you have to suspend that particular work object. Or there was certain malicious happening in your case, okay, some fraudulent things are happening, then yes, that time you can go for suspend work object. Okay, so how do you trace your declare on change? So you need to troubleshoot it, right? So for troubleshooting, how do you do this is you can go to the tracer. In the tracer, uh, go to settings. In the settings, you can see there would be declare on change, so you have to select declare on change so that you can track, or you can trace your declare on change rules. That is one thing. So you might be having a question over here. Yes, I am using an activity in the declare on change. So activity has many other things. You can even call another activity, right? You can call another activity, call some other activity also here. So whenever you're calling another activity, uh, in the what do you say, in the on change activity. Okay, so whenever you're calling an activity in on change activity, make sure that on change activity which you're calling is also of type on change. So overall here I was talking about you can call activity here, right? So what activity you can call here? You can't simply call an activities is already there in your application. Okay, so the activity which you are going to call over here should be of type on change. Then only you can call that particular activity in your on change rule. Okay, so this is another way of interview question over here, right? So what type of activity you have to use in declare on changes? Yes, you can use declare on change type of activity only you can use in the declare on change rule. If this is something else and you save it, then you go back over here and save this, it will throw an error. This activity must be of type on change. Okay, so I think most of the things I've covered in declare on change. Yeah, thank you.